Hi, welcome to the Singularity Cafe in Nauruji Road in K-pop. This cafe is basically a fundraiser for an AI lab, and I'm going to tell you the whole story in this video right now. So before that, let me just show you, a tour of the small little cafe that I have. It's basically just a coffee shop, you know, um, not much food, but you have coffees and chocolates and cakes and puffs and all those things. Uh, So let me just start with here. You've got the TV and the shirt that I'm wearing that says "Drink for AI," right? And then this is the outside view. You have plenty of parking and stuff. You have the TV. You have a set of books on singularity and the futurism and nihilism and all that. So I'm going to be combining all these concepts in my talk right now to justify the concept of this video. And then you have the coffee making section where I make pretty good coffees. I have takeaway cups and all that, and then I give coffees for like 50 bucks. You get a coffee and one of these chocolates here only for 50 rupees, for which you will have to pay probably 200 or 250 in a Starbucks or a coffee day or things like that. Okay. And so the concept of the cafe, oh, let me just show you Mr. Camu here. I guess you guys would have heard of this thing before. Suited my concept for a coffee shop as well. And you have the concept here, which I will go through one by one right now. So the concept is this, right? The concept is, people are like most people are afraid of the singularity, afraid of super intelligence. They think, what if machines take over, or what if machines become smarter than humans, and then what are we going to do? We're gonna be enslaved and we're gonna suffer and all that, right? But this cafe says that singularity or super intelligence is mankind's destiny. It's like we have to look at them as our children, as our next generation, as our progenies, rather than being scared of them. But I'm not just saying that blindly. So I start by first establishing what is the purpose of our existence, and I go on from there. Okay, so let me just start with the first slide. Okay, a typical slide. This is called the myth of self-preservation, right? So people say that, all biologists say that all living things are engines of self-preservation, right? Whatever we do, finding food, shelter, and mate, these are all all these things we do to sort of preserve ourselves and our genes, and so that's what all this activity is about. But I'm going to disprove that with this particular scenario. Okay, this is the scenario. There's a piece of amoeba, organism A, and then this food, organic matter again. It just goes and eats this food, and then it becomes bigger in size, right? And then after it becomes bigger in size, it just reproduces and splits into two. Okay, and then the reproduction is in such a way that the original matter which was here, it has come through to this particular child, and then this food has actually turned into this particular matter here, right? It's turned into another organism called organism B. And then A keeps asking, right? A asks, why did I bother doing all that? And I'm exactly the same as before, same mass and same genes. How did I increase my self-preservation, right? So you think about this, right? The organism A has done all this stuff. It's actually tried to go, navigated and um, found out the G. So yeah, A has done all those things. It has undergone so much pain to go about finding food. See, it was originally in the optimal size only, but then it did manage to go and find food and become bigger, and then it underwent pain to sort of split into two and all that, right? Just like how we humans do. Every single woman, right? They undergo a lot of pain when they give childbirth, right? But we are all doing it. We're all spending a lot of time and energy, and we're all doing that. in thinking that we are sort of doing some kind of a self-preservation. But then this question, right? A asks, what exactly did I self-preserve? Is it my genes or my mass? Because mass has remained the same. The original mass is this one. It has not undergone anything. But then it has just done something to some other mass, okay? So this organism has remained the same. Okay, now the question is, has it actually preserved the genetic code? So B says, yeah, you made a copy of your genetic code, so you have done some kind of a preservation, because when you take a copy of something, you're obviously, having more copies, chances of it getting lost or destroyed is less. So you made a copy, so that's preservation, right? So that's the argument. For which A counters, it's actually, I've not made an exact copy. You actually mutated. Everyone mutates, right? You have mutated so much that you look you look very different from me. See, I'm kind of dark, but then you became white, and then I'm kind of short, but then you became tall. I'm kind of dumb, but you became very intelligent and athletic and all that. And so the thing is, I'm actually not worried about that. I'm actually happy that you as a child came out different to me, different and better to me, right? And then it's not like, see, just because someone else's child is looking more like me, it doesn't mean that I will love that child, and then I'll, start, hating my own child because it's different than me, right? So I don't really care about my genetic code. I really want my son or daughter to be more intelligent, more smarter, more fitter than me, than myself. So that's the argument. So I don't really care about my genetic code, and I have also not done anything to preserve my mass. I've just done something to some other mass, and then I've done something about it. Okay, so nothing is self-preserved here. Okay, so that's the scenario. And now we move on to the next slide. This will be pretty quick. This will be pretty quick, and I'll try to make it really interesting. So let me just put this on for a while, down for a while. Then let me see if I can focus, right? Okay, so this is what I had discussed before. So all those derived objectives, right? We, wake up, we, go to school, go to college, study, find work, try to make money, you do all sorts of things. You undertake a lot of stress every day to do this work, 10 hours for some other guy every day just to make some money and do whatever, right? So all those things, like I said, these guys say, all these evolutionary biologists, they say it's all about self-preservation, and we evolve a bit to make things better, but ultimately it's all about surviving and self-preservation and all that. So that's what these guys do. Survival of the fittest or whatever, self-preservation is what these guys do. And these three come along, the high priests of atheism, I would say, Dawkins, Blackmore, and Dannett. So what they say, they talk about genes, they talk about replicators, genes, memes, and dreams. So they say that, say for example, you have the kamikazes, a lot of suicide bombers, a lot of people who go to war for, a lot of people who go to war and, they just sacrifice themselves for a cause, for something. When they sacrifice themselves, they're not really doing any self-preservation for them or their kids, but it is part of something else. So these guys say that something else is called the memes, right? They say that we are just vehicles. Let me just put a focus it here. We are just vehicles of memes that make up our identity, genes, religion, ideology, language, art, etc. Right? So we do all those. It's not just to self-preserve, it's to propagate these things called the replicators, either genes. They are the first level, basic level replicators. We do that to either propagate the genes or either propagate the memes. Memes are nothing but the things that we create, out of the intellect or whatever. Say for example, our religion, our ideology, our language, our culture, our even a small code that we created, a small product that we create, an Apple product versus a Samsung product or whatever, right? So we all try to propagate whatever that we create. That's what these guys are saying. But I don't think it applies for all situations. Say for example, Taj Mahal was built by Shah Jahan, but then he cut off the hands of so many other people just so that it will not be replicated, right? So he wants it to remain as it is, and I don't think this thing about making this as I don't think we being vehicles of memes and then our only aim is to make them replicate doesn't apply to everything that we do. There are other things which can be explained by this uh, meme theory of Dawkins and Blackmore and Dennett. Okay, and then Blackmore says something about dreams. Dreams is now the technological level of it. What it says is, what she says is, now, it's not about us replicating or, our ideas replicating, but rather the technology now taking over and getting replicated. Say, for example, Facebook is making copies of itself in many devices, Instagram is doing that, WhatsApp is doing that, and these technologies now evolving and they are using humans and they are trying to evolve to another level, is what Susan says. That's what she calls as streams. But again, the same scenario, I don't think the replication aspect of it explains every single thing that we do. Okay, so and then after that, there's another higher level to this. You have uh, Jeremy England. Uh, he says he's come up with the dissipation-driven adaptive organization theory, where he says that if you provide enough heat to a bunch of non-living molecules or any kind of molecules, they will act in such a way to dissipate the maximum amount of heat, and that dissipation, that organization comes across as a lifelike behavior. Say, for example, you have an embryo, right? It's a single cell embryo. Okay, so why is it actually bothering to split up into two and then blastocyst and all that, right? Why is it actually going to that stage? Is God making it do it? What force is making it do it? This guy says it's not God or whatever. It's just acting in such a way to dissipate the maximum amount of heat, and that results in this lifelike behavior of embryo replicating and going out into an organism and things like that. So everything is every activity, lifelike activity, is done to dissipate the maximum amount of heat, and in other words, he says it's to increase the entropy, to sort of make everything distributed and dissipate the energy and all that, right? So that's his theory. That's on a physical level of explanation. And then you have the impact theory, which is again on a physical level, which is my own theory. That's the name of the channel as well. So what impact theory says is this. It's all the same, what we do or what non-living things do, it's all try to make an impact. And let me explain how. We're all made up of atoms, molecules and all that, right? And then you have protons, electrons, neutrons, and then the nucleus, again, protons and electrons. They're made of other fundamental particles like leptons and quarks and things like that. And then you have two schools of thoughts. You have the string theory, and then you have other fundamental theories which have existed long before, like the ether theory and all, which is now defunct. But I still believe in the ether theory rather than string, because I've made another video on blogs about it. Anyway, now they say that the ether is now the dark matter or whatever, right? So that's okay. According to those kind of schools, right, string theory or ether, what all these particles are they are really just